You are now rocking with the best. This is the HallAboutSports podcast with your host, the one and only Meg L. Hall. And if you don't know, now you know. Co-host Kev is back with me. Good to see you, Kev. We missed you. And we have the Battle of the AFC South. It is back. This is the redo. So we now have 8 people on the podcast tonight. I think this might officially be the most people we've ever had on a podcast. So this should be really fun. If you're watching this, then you will see right now we've got the entire screen covered with people, which I don't think I've ever seen. Yes, you know what? Lots of greatness here in the proverbial room tonight. So let's hop into it. Let's talk about what we're going to do on the show. So we're going to do the starting lineup. There's some familiar faces on this podcast right now that you probably saw from the last time we did this, but we got some new folks. So we've got Max, we got Josh. We're going to talk to them, find out their stories, and then we'll get into the Battle of the AFC South, and then we'll do the post-game presser, which is the best part of the podcast anyways, if I do say so myself. All right, so let's start with Max. Max, tell me how you became a Titans fan. My condolences to you ahead of time, and then how you got into podcasting.
All right. Well, I became a Titans fan. Basically, I've been a football fan most of my life. When I was a kid, and I was told I could be violent, and it was okay. I was, hooked. And I always loved the Buffalo Bills because when I was young, I grew up in the '90s, mid '90s, so Jim Kelly, and we went to the Super Bowl a lot, but we never won. So. And then you knew
pain early. Is that
exactly? Yeah. Basically, it was preparing me to be a Titans fan. And then I always said if Tennessee ever got a team, I would absolutely just bail on the Bills because I didn't really it was just like a young kid colors thing or whatever. And as soon as we got a team, I was like, boom, I'm on board. And that was it, man. And then once we did 99 and 2000, I mean, that just solidified my fandom forever. So
what you're saying is when they made the colors mayo blue, it solidified your fandom, right? That's what you're saying?
Absolutely, yeah.
I honestly thought he was going to open up a can of mayo and think, yes. That's really how it happened. But that clearly wasn't the case, so.
No, it's crazy because he became a fan when Cash Money was taking over for 99 and 2000.
I got into podcasting basically because my wife got tired of listening to me talk about the Titans, and I live in East Tennessee where nobody talks about the Titans. Everybody talks about UT. And so I just wanted somebody to talk to. So I just started talking to my phone and putting it on the internet, and it just kind of went from there and turned into this.
Okay. I dig it. All right. So Josh, tell us how you became a Jags fan and how you have the same name as the literal Josh Allen from the Jags.
As far as the names, pure dumb luck, right? Yeah, that's what my parents named me, so here we are. My story's a little bit similar to Max. I was a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan when Tampa Bay sucked. Like in the early 90s, like they were terrible. I'll tell you a quick story. My grandma got free tickets to the Falcons playing the Buccaneers in '92, and Deion Sanders was on the Falcons. We had 50-yard line seats. There's nobody, maybe 100 people in the stadium. We went down to the sideline, me and a buddy of mine, and we were talking to Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders tried to recruit us to become Atlanta Falcon fans because he was dogging on how bad the city was and how bad the fans were. So. Wow. A few years later, my dad's in the Navy. He gets orders to Jacksonville. We move here. We're moving into our house. We get our TV set up right as Morton Anderson misses the kick that sends the Jags into the playoffs. And I have always been – I love the color teal. Some people hate it. I think it's great. I think it's sort of unique. You don't see it across a whole lot of teams. I saw – you guys remember the starter jackets they used to wear in the late 90s? They went down all the way down to their feet. And it was almost like a cool cape or robe. So I saw that with the big Jaguar logo, and I said, I'm in. And it's been a very hard, arduous journey ever since.
So you also know pain early. I got Absolutely. It. I dig it. Yep. Well, let me say this: at least you're not easily, dismayed, which is that speaks highly of both of you. Yep. Okay, cool. So, and I assume that you got into podcasting as well because of your Jags fandom, right?
I actually started with a local political podcast calling out corruption in our school board. And then Sam Ornette and Matt Briggs were looking for Jaguar commentators on their show. And
we put out a flyer pretty much saying looking for Jaguars content writers, and Josh said this. I forget what it said, but it was fantastic. Like
the first line was, "Hello, my name's Josh, and I've been in an abusive relationship with the Jacksonville Jaguars for nearly 25 years."
Yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's it."
Wish.
Yeah. Like that's all we need.
Yeah, we won. Hook, line, and sinker. It was sold. History ever since.
Okay, I love it. Okay, cool. All right, so now that we learned a little bit about you, obviously for anybody who is listening to this, of course, we've got some other folks on the podcast. So we got Matt Briggs, who's a Texans fan. We got James, another Titans fan. Chris Jackson, who is a Colts fan. Harish is a Colts fan. Kevin and I, of course, have written about the Colts. We've ranted about the Colts. If you haven't seen our Horseshoe Pride podcast, you would famously see our Beef with Ballard segment. Yeah, that's us usually ranting about, the Colts. So
that's right up Harish's tree.
Yeah, I was going to say that is definitely Harish's like specialty right there. He's like, oh, we're talking about Chris Ballard. Great. Let me get to it.
Content writes itself. I mean, what can we say?
There you go.
All right. So we are going to talk about the Battle of the AFC South. So if you didn't watch the last episode where we did this, this is how it goes. So we've got a couple topics that we want to talk about. We want to get everyone's thoughts about. With 8 people on this podcast, I'm going to do my best to kind of keep this all reined in and wrangled. So y'all keep me accountable for that. But let's start with the hot topic, which, as you know, this is Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. And Chris, I'm actually going to go to you. Give the people a Cliff Notes version of what has been happening with JT and the Colts.
So JT has been looking for a contract. He took the nice guy approach back in April. Then he hired great value DJ Khaled as his agent. And now we're having issues as far as him going. They said that he wanted to trade, but he can't even pass a physical. Then there's conflicting reports, him being potentially going on the NFI list. Basically, right now, Jonathan Taylor has shown up to every day at camp that there's been training camp, except for today where they said that he's basically rehabbing the ankle. Too many reports to get a real idea of what's going to happen. But as of right now, Jonathan Taylor is on the Colts, and he's, I'm going to say, expected to play this year. But I mean, the numbers that they're talking about, they said that one report was that he wanted 16 a year. But then another report was that he wanted to break the market and be at 20 a year. Is he worth 16? Absolutely. Is he going to get 16? Probably not. I mean, if we're being real, it's just like the running back market sucks. It's the worst that you could possibly have, especially for a running back, because the shelf life of a running back is about as long as warm milk. So there's really you don't have time with that. I mean, like I said, I think that's part of the reluctancy, but at the same time, he's still rehabbing an ankle that he had surgery on in January. So yeah, they brought in Kareem Hunt though, so that's a thing.
To be honest with you,
so you're telling me there's a chance.
I mean, I was a little shocked that they brought in Kareem Hunt. I won't dive into his background, but obviously, if you know his background, this is a little off-brand for Chris Ballard, in my opinion, which I was a little shocked that they actually brought him in. But I think it's more so like, hey, we need insurance because, hey, JT is not here. And we've got, one guy with broken bones. We have other guys who are depth guys. We have a guy we just drafted. Like, we need options in case this draws out.
Yeah, well, Kareem Hunt is somebody I think who, outside of the off the field stuff, is somebody who could potentially be a solid starter. He was a solid starter when he was a starter for Kansas City. Even when Nick Chubb was out, he actually did do pretty well with the role that he was given. But also, this is a Shane Steichen offense, so we're gonna have running backs galore, because of the fact that it's always going to be a running back committee with Shane Steichen. So if you don't have 3 serviceable backs, then this is Chris Ballard. Okay, yes, no, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine. This store was a little bit more edgy. Normally he shops at like Home Goods. This one,
well, Hot Topic-ish.
A little bit Hot Topic-ish.
Yeah, now he's in the back of the Spencer's Gifts. Yeah.
Chris Ballard walked into Spencer's like, what do we have here?
So for those of you who are listening, this comment says Chris Ballard went shopping at a different store this time when it comes to Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
definitely
Bargain bin Ballard, baby.
Yeah, this is definitely a bargain bin Ballard move. I want to ask the folks who aren't Colts fans, like, what do you think of this situation? And I'm gonna come to James. James already shaking his head, so I'm coming to James to see what you think.
Come on, man. It's very odd how it all went down. I think it's very odd that he's trying to get a contract extension a year after, like last year he was injured, a down year. 2 years ago, like if he'd have came for it then, would have made a lot more sense. And then, like Chris said, the market's awful. Like the running back market is an all-time low. And to think he was like 16, would 16 put him as one of the highest paid running backs, I think, per year?
20, yeah, I mean,
20 be outrageous.
16 right now. Yeah,
CMC is at 16, and he's one of the only folks in the league who's at 16 like that. Aaron Jones was at 16, but he just restructured, and now he's at 11 a year. So yeah.
I think Henry's like 12 and like
12 and a half.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. That number's crazy, and the market the way it is, it's not realistic.
Yeah. Josh, what do you think?
You want to know what I think? I think Jonathan Taylor's getting a whole lot of bad advice from somebody, man. It just seems like he's not in the
DJ Khaled
position of very much leverage at all. Right? You know, he's coming off an injury, and listen, he may very well be injured. And Hurst told me earlier that he didn't pass a physical, but dude looks like he's faking when you see him, like the way he's moping around. He's got his sweatshirt on. He's just kind of hobbling. You know, it looks like what you're. It looks like what I've seen my nephew do when he doesn't want to go to karate practice.
Or like when you missed a layup in school and you're like, oh, I hurt myself. Oh, coach, come get me.
I just wish that Jonathan Taylor had people in his life giving him better advice than what he's getting. I don't see where anybody who has any sort of business acumen would look at the situation and say it makes sense to give Jonathan Taylor more money, especially anywhere in the realm of $16 million a year. It just doesn't make any sense. You know, no, you know, nothing personal against the guy. Just, you know, from a business perspective, it doesn't feel like it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially when he's going against an owner who has seen Marshall Faulk become Edgerrin James, has seen Edgerrin James become Joseph Adai, and then saw Dominic Rhodes rush for 1,000 yards without Joseph Adai, which is probably how we got to this mentality in the first place. But he's not negotiating from a position of power, because our Jim Irsay is going to be like, well, look, we love what you do here, but not at that price.
Also, don't forget that Jim Irsay is saving Free Willy right now and is spending a lot of money to move the whales across America.
Hey, listen.
Money's
flex, right? Just I could give you money, but I gotta save whales.
That's his own money. That's his literal own money. You do what you want when you're a billionaire. As I always say, you do what you want when you're popping. All right. The other thing is the money that JT would be getting paid out from the league, right? Like that's
I don't understand why Irsay's getting so much hate for doing a thing where he's
because it's an off-season storyline. The thing is that news dropped weeks before the JT stuff happened, like weeks ago.
It resurfaced after,
and it resurfaced. And some account on Twitter was like, "Oh my gosh, Jim Irsay is saving a whale and spending this amount of money instead of paying his running back." Like, where had you been for the last 3 weeks? Because we all saw that storyline. We're like, "Oh, hey, that's cool. That's on brand for Irsay," and like kept moving.
Right. Yeah, I think it's interesting that, you know, obviously Chris mentioned he didn't even pass his physical, right? So now you have the whole pup thing. His agent clown shows himself out. I think he's definitely you know, in the circus right now, and the clowns are definitely controlling the narrative for him. But it's also making Jonathan Taylor look bad from the fans' perspective, right? Because you have this demeanor of like really cool guy, down to earth, goes with the flow, whatever. But now he's kind of like almost, the fan base is almost like semi-turned himself against him because of just like the antics, right? And listen, Colts fans, they don't, just like the Colts don't do with this nonsense. Colts fans don't like it. Blue collar organization, I guess you could say, right? They don't like being in the news for the wrong reasons. And just when we thought finally an off season where we can have some peace and quiet, you know, great value DJ.
No, sir.
Well, you know, the Colts saw that the Jaguars and the Texans are, you know, stop with the drama. So they're like, hey, we gotta fill that void. Like,
Somebody's got to keep it going.
Yeah, we got to keep it going. The AFC South. Why not us?
Like I said a couple weeks ago, can we not just have a boring off season?
Right.
Like you already had enough attention. I'm going to put that in soft quotes. Attention. From drafting so high, right? You drafted a franchise quarterback. Every little move, every little good thing and or bad thing is already going to be put underneath the microscope. And then you add this situation, and it's like, well, that little off season where we were like, hey, we're just new here, we got a brand new team, like sort of thing, that completely went out the window.
Well, I mean, that's just Irsay's, kind of personality, right? Like, it's either go big or go home, and he's going to say what he says, and it doesn't matter. What people, if they agree, they agree. If they don't, he don't give a crap.
But honestly, Jim Irsay has shown many times that what he says, he's not really lying. Like, you can read in between the lines. He's not, like we just talked about it. He traded Marshall Faulk. He traded Edgerrin James.
Yeah, well, it's Jerry Jones. He's Jerry Jones.
Exactly.
Don't do that.
He is. It's his way to the hot
plate. He and Jerry are similar in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, a lot of ways.
I mean,
look at the Jimmy Johnson situation. It's the same thing.
I wouldn't say that it's his way or the highway, because I think Jim Irsay is known for being one of the more relaxed owners in the league. But I would say this: in the last, we'll say 2 years, he's watched this team go from a team that he recognized to a team that he doesn't. Right? You have revolving door at quarterback, trying to solve the quarterback issue. Your offense is a hot mess express. Right? It's not the usual Colts brand football that you're looking at. So now you're seeing Jim Irsay kind of be loud and boisterous about it, saying, "Hey, we got to get it fixed." Right? And I think the other thing is he's attempting to trust the people around him, right? He yields to Chris Ballard a lot, right? And him and Chris Ballard have talked about it, like, hey, we don't always see eye to eye. I trust, Chris to make the decisions. He even said it in regards to Anthony Richardson, like, hey, Shane Steichen's going to make that call whether or not Richardson plays. So I think you see those moments there, but then you see the other moments where he's very emphatic about certain things. Like, for example, when the news came out that JT had asked for the trade or whatever else. The interesting thing about that is that the trade had been asked for days before it was actually reported. And so it makes it seem like, oh, well, hey, Jonathan Taylor met with Jim Irsay, get off the bus, and all of a sudden this trade request comes. No, it had already been, requested. And Irsay just kind of reiterated, like, we're not trading him. And that was like that. That was all he said about it. And so I think that people are seeing this kind of power struggle in terms of him trying to just right the ship for where his team has not met the expectations that he has. And I think fans are seeing that too. So that's where I see a little bit of the Irsay kind of like, okay, I'm usually very hands off. I let my people do, what they need to, but when I don't see things going the way they, need to, I'm going to step in and say something, which is where you see like the Jeff Saturday hiring last season, where he was just trying to throw anything at the wall to get this team playing better, because it was just, again, the sky is falling. So there's
this is my hot take for it. This is what happens when you hold on to people 1 year too long. He held on to Frank Reich a year too long. He should have been gone after that Jaguars catastrophe with this good old boy Carson. He's held on to Chris Ballard a year too long. And I think this is where we're at because of that. He held on.
Save that. We got a hot take section too. We can talk about that.
Yep.
We can talk about that.
We can definitely talk about that, because this it's funny. I just saw a quote and I will quote it later when we talk about my hot take.
Yeah, just one more thought. I think the whole running back thing in general has been talked about a lot, almost beat to death.
Weird.
But I think Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry sort of prove that is a little bit of nonsense, right? Like those two guys. Contrast this scenario: if Derrick Henry walked into the front office of Tennessee and said, "I'm not playing another down until you pay me more money," they would literally do whatever they had to do to pay him backwards. He has leverage there where Jonathan Taylor doesn't. And Christian McCaffrey sort of proves that if you obviously with the right sort of management and ownership, running backs can still get paid a considerable amount of money.
He kind of does have a little leverage, not much, but a little, because unlike Derrick Henry is a generational talent at running back. Like, he just runs you smooth over. Like, you cannot stop him. But like Christopher McCaffrey, JT is the prototype of what you want in a running back in today's era. Like he's good in the backfield catching the ball. He's fast. Like that's the type of running back you want. A guy and basically another receiver for checkdowns.
Sure, but coming off an injury, and sort of.
I mean, look at CMC. He came off another injury. And he still got paid. I mean, I get it, but he does have.
I think CMC got paid because his skill set is a little bit more dynamic than Jonathan Taylor's, right?
He was the best receiver on Carolina at one point.
He just had more. So was Chris. So was Jonathan Taylor. But
no. Pittman was first. JT was second.
Let's not do
that. Don't slander me, young sir. Okay, I know my stuff.
So we're back on the Pittman trade. I thought y'all were done with him.
Oh, whoa, no.
Harish
will tell you. Don't do that.
Yeah, Harish went off of it.
That's nasty work.
I got receipts.
Okay, all right, cool.
I've
always said Pittman is my receiver.
Save that for the hot takes too. Just put a pin in that. We'll come back.
This is what I like to do. I like to cause chaos and make people angry.
I was about to say, Josh,
did a good job of it.
We blame this on you. You just got here and already stirring the pot up here.
Yep.
But one thing that I do want to say is that if JT plays all 17 games last year, I think they already hammered something out. But that injury really hampered his ability to be able to go into these contract negotiations because an injury in a year before you're supposed to go for a contract almost kind of puts you in that conversation where you're going from long-term extension into kind of like prove it deal territory because now you have to prove like the only thing that he could possibly do to possibly get an extension now is just go ahead, play out the rest of this rookie contract, and then potentially get like 2,000 yards.
Or
for him to get that
like CMC and have a whole bunch of incentives around starting games. Like that's what CMC did because that was their biggest was his health. And
I think the only other way he could do it
was being healthy. So
I think the only other way you could do it, and maybe he gets it done mid-season, is he balls out the first 5-6 weeks of the year. The Colts are doing well, right? They shock the world. They go 4-2, 5-1, something crazy like that. I don't see that happening. And then he did it. But I mean, that's the only way I can see it getting something getting done midway through like the bye week.
Okay,
I can see something like that.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the Texans. So CJ Stroud has been lighting it up lately. I see Matt's eyebrows just went way up. So he's been lighting it up. Some really positive
Davis
words.
Mills, so
Well, listen, I think
that's a very high bar too. Yeah.
Right.
So when's the Super Bowl parade? Because we're just giving the Lombardi Trophy to the Texans, right? Based on how Texans.
Look at Josh coming through. Josh
it's March 1st, 2024. There, Josh.
2024. All right.
Jags fans have already done that too, right? Trevor Lawrence has one good season. Hey guys, we're going to
win. Who's the defending division champions? I mean, who's the only team that's who swept the Titans? Who?
You sound like a Titans fan. Your barometer is always winning.
2018 all over again.
Titans catching strays.
Bullets are flying.
Look, Max hasn't even said a word. He's just smiling and all.
Hey Josh, it was never the Jags.
Yeah, well, that's not true.
You know that whole quote. You know that whole quote.
Now say it without crying, Chris.
Now jump back to what Megan said. CJ Stroud.
Please, about
I mean, he is looking phenomenal. All the coaches are saying that one, he does make a mistake. He doesn't make the same mistake twice, so that's good because Davis Mills made the same mistake twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, so on and so forth. So just happy to see he's succeeding in a system that's fit for him. So I'm pumped. The only thing I'm a little nervous about is our starting right tackle, Tyus Howard, had to get hand surgery. So he's out to 4 to 6 weeks. They're saying he's going to be back week 1, but don't rush it. Just let him rest, let him come back strong. But yeah, I'm excited for it. Like I said, anything better than Davis Mills. So, but yeah, he looked amazing in camp. I'm excited. This is the first time I've been excited since we got Deshaun Watson. No, I mean I was excited for Deshaun Watson, but I mean
Even before the massage. Parlor?
Before that, yes, there you go. Before that, after that, I'm good. So.
All right, Kev, tell me from your perspective what your thoughts are on CJ Stroud thus far.
Oh, I was hoping I was going to get to avoid that one because, as you know, Meg, because you've sat in this chair with me for quite some time. We're going on a year now. We're getting to a year, by the way.
Yeah, we are. Yeah,
we're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. And I remember in my very first episode of what was then called Indie Intercept, but is now Horseshoe Pride, saying, guys, I'm really high on this quarterback. Call me biased because I live in Columbus, but I really want this CJ Stroud guy to end up in Indianapolis. And now I'm living like some Twilight Zone nightmare where I get to say, oh, yeah, he is as good as I thought he was going to be. And
you weren't the only one.
Tear us up. Oh, my God.
You weren't the only one, Kev. A lot of Colts fans wanted him.
Oh, yeah.
Killed me. I wanted him so bad.
I'm going to be listening to a lot of Achy Breaky Heart on Sunday afternoons.
I just love how high everybody is on a guy who hasn't played a snap in the NFL because the letdown when CJ Stroud inevitably doesn't meet these sky high expectations everybody has, just the pain in the eyes of Texans fans is going to give me great joy.
I used to say the same things about Trevor Lawrence, the old sunshine. I thought those same things.
Listen, you haven't said anything on Trevor Lawrence that I haven't said harder. So
fair enough.
Listen, Josh Allen spent the first 7 weeks of last season saying, "No, this guy is really getting into bust territory now because this is it was a 7-game stretch where dude made stupid decisions. Trevor Lawrence made bad decisions quite often, and you saw it. Bad Trevor came up in that playoff game. Anyway, we're not talking about Trevor. We're talking about CJ. Sorry, I don't mean to take over your show, so I'm gonna shut up.
All right, Max, tell me what you think from your perspective on CJ Stroud.
Man, to be honest, I wanted CJ Stroud too, if I'm being honest. I mean,
I saying, hand raised.
Should we start a support group after this?
Maybe get emails. I think so. Yeah, there should be I wanted CJ Stroud, and now I'm going to have to watch him for the next 4 years against my team.
You guys really took FanBat on really sucking to the ground just like that over one quarterback. CJ Stroud sucks. I hope that guy.
There we go. Man. We need one.
Tell him, Harish.
There we go.
Leave it to Harish, man.
Even though I wanted him to suck.
Yeah, I do want him to. I can't wait till DeForest Buckner sits on him.
Sits on him, Harish.
Pause.
That's
going to be 15 yards, though.
It's going to be something.
Oh my gosh.
It's been an interesting sight, but I can't wait.
All right. So speaking of quarterbacks, we also have another quarterback. Some quarterbacks making some noise. So this is for the Titans fans. So obviously you have 3 quarterbacks on your roster who could potentially start, which I think is probably the most unique situation in the AFC South right now.
There's only one starting. As long as he's not hurt, he's starting all year.
I mean, well, I was getting there. You have Ryan Tannehill, who is right now your starter. Let's put that there. All right, so you have Malik Willis, who had a very interesting situation last year. He comes in for an injured Tannehill. Oh, that's somebody's dog. But an injured Tannehill, and then you draft Will Levis, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense on the surface because you're like, you have Malik Willis sitting here who you haven't really fully developed. But now there's this back and forth that's come out in the last couple days about Malik Willis. The lights are starting to come on for him, right? And he could be QB2. Or in your minds, is it Will Levis? And this is just, training camp banter. So, James, I'm coming to you.
Well, wait till next year when the Titans pull the trifecta and draft a quarterback in the first round, then go 3-2-1. Wait till we do that.
Oh, so it's a countdown.
It's the countdown's on for what we're gonna do. Malik Willis has had surprisingly good camp, and Vrabel's gone out of his way to say a lot of good stuff about him. It's been really interesting, very tough situation. He wasn't supposed to play last year, and Tannehill got hurt. Levis has been up and down. He's been really good recently. I think they released their unofficial depth chart yesterday, their first one, and Levis was third string, and Willis was second. I think Malik Willis is going to be the number 2 this year. And Tennessee's going to carry 3 quarterbacks. They're obviously not going to get rid of Will Levis after drafting the second round, so they'll keep the third emergency quarterback. And I think Malik Willis will start as the number 2. I don't know if he'll finish as it, but he's going to start as it.
Okay. Max, what do you think?
Well, Vrabel came out and said basically that it was Malik's job and it was Levis's job to take it from Malik. So, to be honest, though, I think in the preseason, I think when we, I think Levis will end up taking the job from him before the season starts. I think before this, right now, he's number 2. If the season was to start today, Malik would be number 2. But I think by the time the season gets here, I think Levis will probably have won over the coaches.
I mean, Levis has the biggest arm, right? All you really need is somebody that just likes to throw it up in the air and hopes and DeAndre catches it, right?
Oh, Hopkins, he'll catch everything. He'll catch everything. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Tannehill has a special skill set. He just threw it up in the air. AJ Brown happened to catch it. The only difference is you have DeAndre Hopkins, so you could start any one of them, right? They all have a big arm, so you're good. Just throw it up in the air.
Put it in the air.
Yeah, it's just like DeAndre's up there somewhere.
That's literally the system.
So this is an interesting comment. It says saw Malik at camp in person. He is light years ahead of Levis right now. And that came from Mike Patton, who is from touring the AFC South. He was at Titans training camp just I think that was last week, maybe. And so that's credibility right there. I think that's a very interesting perspective. You're kind of getting varying thoughts on what people think about these two quarterbacks. And again, typically I wouldn't ask about a backup quarterback situation, but in my opinion, when you draft Levis that high, to me that said, hey, we could be out on Malik Willis and Levis is our guy. We're gonna, at least maybe do Malik a solid and attempt to, pretend like, hey, we want to keep him. But if Malik balls out, I think you make a case probably for keeping all 3, right?
I think we keep all 3 either way.
I mean, does it matter who's your starter, second bench, third bench, because the offensive line is so horrible.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter. They're going to get destroyed.
And as Steve Spurrier once famously said, if you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have a quarterback. So
exactly.
We got a quarterback.
And here's a theory of mine that why Malik Willis is thriving. Tim Kelly, who's the new OC, was the OC in Houston, and you had a guy by the name of Deshaun Watson who had a horrible line, and all he did was dance around and make amazing plays. And
2-1 DeAndre Hopkins.
Exactly.
Are you the Tennessee Texans now? Is that what it is?
No, they are the Houston Titans. They get all the Houston wannabes. So, the backtrack.
Vrabel, Kelly.
Yeah, they have a whole list of
ex-Texans. Their history that's not theirs.
Yeah, we're just overlooking the fact that, it's Tannehill and then whoever hands off the ball best to Derrick Henry, because that's pretty much what it goes for. Right. So, whoever got the prettiest handoff, that's your 2. And it looks like
Ryan Tannehill has the best handoff in the league. He got voted.
That's what I'm saying.
2017. So
Malik Willis couldn't hand it off last year. You guys saw when he played, he did a little read option and he fumbled it every time.
Let's keep that. I'm okay. Let's start roasting.
No.
We know what they have.
Go start Levis. Go ahead, start Levis. Do it. I dare you. I dare you to do it. Go ahead.
I double dare you.
I double dare you.
All right. So we're gonna switch gears as well. Josh, this question is for you. So this is about Calvin Ridley. Obviously, Jags fans are excited, super excited about Calvin Ridley coming. He looks great by all accounts. Of course, this is training camp. He's healthy, that sort of thing. I think he was dealing with a small injury, like a toe or something like that. I think I was reading a couple days ago, but otherwise having a great camp. So my question to you is, does Calvin Ridley overtake Christian Kirk as wide receiver 1 this season?
So he had a toe injury because of cleats, apparently, whatever style of cleats he was wearing. They gave him different cleats. Supposedly he's fine. Been to a couple practices. Calvin Ridley is a guy that is faster than even I thought, right? Like the receivers on the Jags are, honestly, when you see him, it's almost shocking, like how fast he is. He's one of those talents that and Christian Kirk is good, but Christian Kirk is just not as good as Calvin Ridley. You see it just in the practices, I think Christian Kirk will sort of. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Zay Jones on one side, Ridley on the other, and Kirk in the slot. Because what Kirk does best is sneaking into the middle of zones and getting open downfield, right? So I think Ridley is going to be the best receiver on the field. As far as a performance standpoint, who gets more catches, touchdowns, whatever, that's going to be luck of the draw as far as who gets open. But I think Ridley is going to open up. Teams are going to have to account for Calvin Ridley, which is going to allow Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram to I think make some really big things happen this season. I think that if Calvin Ridley does not end up being the best receiver on the team, then bringing him on for $18 million a year was a mistake. I don't think you can pay a guy $18 million a year and have him not be your best wide receiver.
So this comment's interesting. It says, as a Falcons fan, the Jags stole Calvin from us. He's going to be a stud for y'all, but I'm high on Ingram with the addition of Calvin. I think that offense is going to be really, really, really good. I also, shameless plug, War Eagle here, but I'm going to prop up Tank Bigsby behind Etienne. I think for Tank, the biggest thing is consistency for him, but when he gets going, he is a literal tank.
I'll tell you who Tank Bigsby reminds me of.
Very good out of backfield.
Tank Bigsby reminds me of Maurice Jones-Drew.
Yes, very much.
Hit him and he just bounces off you and he keeps going.
Very much so.
Where they had like 5 defenders on him and they weren't in full pads when I was there, but like they were trying to like wrap him up and he just squirted out and down the field, and like he's just one of those guys. I think Tank Biggs, like you said, if he can be consistent, he is a in the middle between the tackles downfield runner. Or ETN is more of the get him in space, get him the ball and see what he can do. I think it provides a variety of talent at running back that the Jags did not have last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I agree with Josh. I think Ridley is the best receiver on that team. But when it comes to the stats, I don't think Ridley's going to have the best on the team. I think Kirk will, because Ridley's going to be the spotlight guy. I think Kirk and Ingram are going to benefit the most from having Ridley on there. Let's face it. When he was in Atlanta, he was dealing with depression. That's why he stepped away. Now he's away from that. He's in good health, is what everybody says. His headspace is there. He's going to be dangerous, especially with Trevor Lawrence. I
might agree with that, honestly.
But I think he's going to be a great weapon for the Jags.
And I'll say this: I'm not saying that Ridley is as good as Jimmy Smith was. Ridley is as good at running crisp routes as Jimmy Smith was. One of the things that Jimmy Smith did, like he was one of the best that I'd ever seen in person as far as running the routes precisely and really just shaking people. And then you had Keenan Carville on the other side with the speed. You have the same thing. You have Kirk on the other side. That's exactly
with the speed. Yeah. So
exactly. They all suck.
You got Trevor Brunell out there with his knee brace, just slinging it. Sorry, wait, no, doesn't quite match up.
Please.
Still good. Hey, I was getting nostalgic for a minute. I like that, Jax.
Kev wasn't here last week, so he wasn't able to cut up. So you see, he's making up for lost time.
No worries.
Just don't mind him. Don't mind him.
Oh, sorry.
All right, so we got one more topic to get to, and this is hot takes. So I didn't put any rules for this per se. I just wanted to see what hot takes we have because I know you guys have plenty. Harish had one already that he was like drumming up earlier in the episode. So, Harish, what is the hot take that you have about the Colts?
Yeah, so Jim Irsay again. And once again, he waited 1 year too late to let go of his GM and his head coach. The last time this happened, I think he waited a year too late to let go of Chuck Pagano and the worst GM of all time, Ryan Grigson. He did it again by waiting a year too long to let go of Chris Ballard and Frank Reich. He should have let go of Frank Reich after the Jaguars catastrophe. And Chris Ballard, it's lied to our face, but so many fans love him so much that they continue to let him to get by, right? Paying our own, still not happening. High character guys, he just broke that rule today.
Actually, he broke it a couple of days ago when he signed Lamons, but carry on.
Yeah. So I think Jim Irsay's. I've noticed that Jim Irsay is fed up with the folks that run his organization when he starts to step in. He did it with Grigson and Ballard. Gregson and Pagano.
Pagano.
He stepped in a lot. He said a lot. He was in the media. Then when he hired Ballard and Reich, he kind of went away. And then the last couple of years, he stepped back up again. This is just a sign to me that he waited a year too long. Ballard should have been gone after with Reich as well. Oh no!
Sorry to throw you off there. There's a comment that says lukewarm take. Jags collapse to 4 wins per usual. Oh my gosh,
that is history. Honestly, if trends continue, that would be the Jags thing to do. One good year followed by 6 more bad ones. So, but anyway, yeah. Hot take is Ballard should have been gone after last season. Should have brought in a new GM to rebuild this team because the dude cannot build a team to save his life. He probably is terrible at Madden franchise mode, honestly.
All right. Who else has a hot take that they want to?
I'll go if that's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely not.
So I'm gonna bring the heat to my own team for a moment. Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, is worth $12 billion. That's a billion with a B. And bro wants $1 billion from the city of Jacksonville. We had some local elections, and there's a new regime in town that just doesn't like they're going to spend the money. Dear Shad Khan, just build the stadium yourself. Like, stop taking public money. You have $12 billion. Use 1/12 of your wealth and build the stupid stadium that will be literally, the best thing in the entire city, because Jacksonville is just awful. Like, it just is. Like, I love the Jaguars, but Jacksonville's not that great. So dear Shad Khan, don't let the deal fall through because of our idiot politicians.
Jackson London is back on. Let's go.
Don't be a Bud Adams and ask for money, and then when you don't get your way, throw a fit and leave to a mayo eating state. So do your fans a solid.
There's a lot of things that were happening on the screen at the same time. Like, Max started smiling, James started rolling his eyes all at the same time while you were talking, Max. That was funny. Sorry, I just had to point that was good.
I have a hot take.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, since you brought up the whole, Bud Adams leaving Houston thing, Houston fans need to stop crying about the whole Oilers jersey thing and quit pointing your hate towards Titans fans and point your hate towards your city, because that's who let the team go.
No, it was Bud Adams, sir.
Burn.
I know you weren't in Houston. I think Megan was in Houston at the time when it happened. But
I am over here minding my own business.
I'm just trying to get back up. But the real story is he asked for $800 million to renovate the Astrodome, which they said okay. And then the next year he asked for $2.5 billion for a new stadium. Like, come on. You really think the city of Houston is going to do that? And when they said no, we just gave you money, he throws a fit and leaves.
But you still want the Oilers stuff? That makes no sense.
I don't want the Oilers stuff. I mean, that's like having a girl cheat on me and want her back. Like, you can keep it. Like, I don't want it.
That's like pulling a Jay Leno. Like, you're gonna fire me, but I'll just hang out in case you want to come back. No.
My favorite part of Houston culture is how the elementary schools begin their day by having all the little kids flip off a picture of Bud Adams. You got
to
Pledge of Allegiance.
You got to teach them right.
Bud Adams.
You got to teach them right.
Oh my gosh.
So you know what I mean? I mean, if Tennessee wants to rep Houston culture, go ahead.
They're not
well. They are. Love You Blue is Houston culture. What are you talking about, Hurry?
It's our franchise's culture.
No, Love You Blue is a Houston thing.
This is such a loser argument to have. When your team sucks, this is the sort of nonsense you argue about.
This is what we're talking about.
Well, I'm just saying, look it up. Love You Blue is a Houston thing. It's not a
So Matt, thing. You're saying that Tennessee Titans fans are colonizers?
Yes.
Well, oh my gosh. All right. And on that note,
I have a hot take.
No, we're moving right to the just skipping right over that. All right. So this is the post-game presser. This is the part of the podcast /show where you get to ask Kevin and I questions, or really, since we have so many people, a question for them. Now behave yourselves on this portion. That's all I ask. We ask questions like, is a hot dog a sandwich? What's the other questions that we've got? Are boneless wings just chicken nuggets? Like, we've gotten kind of questions like that. So floor is open to anyone who wants to ask a question. We'll do our best to answer.
So Megan.
Yeah, go for it, Chris.
So is Michael Pittman a wide receiver 1? And if so, how many yards will he go for this year?
I wonder what his hot take would have been.
Yeah, I know.
The world may never know.
Here is my answer that I have given for the past, I don't know, however many years. Michael Pittman Jr. was not drafted to be a wide receiver 1. He was meant to be the Robin to T.Y.'s Batman, right? T.Y. got hurt, and that forced him to step into the wide receiver 1 position. Now, if you had some consistency with the offense, and I'm not even going to say quarterbacks, the offense as a whole, you might see some better numbers from Michael Pittman Jr. Is he a wide receiver 1? Yes, in this instance, he is, because that's what he is for the Colts. But do I consider him a true wide receiver 1? Not really. I think he has the potential to be there, right? If he were to be consistent, I think he could certainly be in those conversations. Like, don't sleep on Pittman. He certainly is a talent. What sort of numbers do I think he has? I don't know. If he gets to 1,000 yards this season, I would be happy with that. I know that seems really low bar, but if you saw this offense last season, it was the stuff of nightmares. And so when you can't move the ball 20 yards down the field, like 1,000 yards seems like, 4,000 yards. So if he gets to 1,000 yards this season, I would be fine with that. If he pulls out like 1,100, totally fine. As far as touchdowns, Pittman's never been a big touchdown guy, and especially with so many options now for the Colts, I'm not expecting him to draw 12 touchdowns or anything crazy like that. 5 or 6 is probably where I'd probably hang my hat on. I think that's reasonable given the fact that you're probably going to have a rookie quarterback out there, a new offense is installed, and people are trying to find their identity on this offense.
Perfect. He's a wide receiver too. Thanks for confirming, Megan.
Yeah, go for it. All right, what else?
I got smoke for you.
I got one for you since I got to keep it PG. NFL edition: marry, kill, and date. NFL edition. I hope your husband's watching.
Lord. All right. So if I'm going to marry someone, it's definitely going to be Aaron Donald. If you know me, then you know how I feel about Aaron Donald. That man is a one-man wrecking crew, and he is phenomenal. Full stop.
99 overall, 7 times in a row in Madden.
Yeah, enough said.
That ain't nothing,
Someone I'm going to date. It's definitely going to be Travis Kelce from the Chiefs.
Okay.
I mean, my fiance would agree with you.
Post beard?
Definitely with the beard. Travis without the beard looks like Andy Reid trying to be Travis Kelce for Halloween. So, who I would do away with. This is no slight to him, but probably Jimmy Garoppolo.
I thought you were going to say Chris Ballard, but all right.
No, I mean, I think, I'll say this. I think that Jimmy did what he was supposed to do in terms of getting his contract, but he has not really lived up to the contract he's had since he got it post New England. Number of injuries. When he's healthy, he's serviceable, right? Like,
he's
obviously
a winner,
now,
right? Yeah, he's a winner.
He's a franchise quarterback when he's serviceable, but he's got to stay healthy. So, I think that's probably, yeah.
Where's he now? He's in Vegas, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in Las Vegas. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a perfect fit there. He doesn't have to ever play, and they can still lose. So he's good.
All right. What other questions?
I've got 2 questions. I've got 2. First of all,
go for it.
Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yes.
Yes.
Wrong. You're both wrong. Give me at least 2 ways in which Tom Brady was superior to Peyton Manning.
I can't.
Come on, my guy.
He's much better at PR. He's much better at getting people to like him. And other than that, I would say he might have been a better interviewer. Yeah. Give me Peyton everywhere else.
I'm gonna need some football related reasons though.
All right, so I'm
not
gonna say that Tom Brady greatly benefited obviously from having Bill Belichick in his back pocket, but I will say this: I think Tom Brady did a phenomenal job of finding the weakness of whatever the team's weakness was and exploiting the heck out of it, right? Like the amount of crossing routes that you saw out of that New England offense the route's only supposed to be for 7 or 8 yards, right? They'd go for 35, 45 or whatever else because they just found ways to like unravel you. We'll start there. I think a second way, really probably longevity. Honestly, I mean, Tom kept his body in pristine shape for so many years. And that's why he was able to continue and have that long career. It's not a slight to Peyton at all, but obviously he dealt with his fair share of injuries and things like that. So I think that's probably the thing that kept Tom Brady in this, this GOAT conversation, able to keep, his body in health. He leaves New England and wins another ring. So, hey, kudos to him. And he left New England and became likable. That's
wild.
As an Astros fan, he was a better cheater. Okay, better cheater.
I will say, I think that Tom Brady's
checkdowns.
secret. I think Tom Brady's secret is that he's evil. Yeah. I think Tom Brady enjoys crushing people and causing
their souls,
emotional distress. Whereas I think Peyton is probably like a nice person. Like he seems like a nice guy. But I think Brady
is very nice.
Reached levels that Peyton couldn't reach because Peyton's not evil like Tom Brady. So
Peyton had the best SNL skit ever. Let's just be honest.
Bro.
For sure. Peyton is 1,000 times funnier than Tom Brady.
Yeah, he walked through the city of Jacksonville and it was fantastic. So
yeah.
All right. What other questions we got? These are good. These are really good.
Go ahead, Chris. You're up.
No, go ahead, James. I already went.
Raising Cane's or Zaxby's?
I've never had Raising Cane's, so I guess I'm gonna have to go Zaxby's.
Listen, Raising Cane's is better. We have Zaxby's.
Josh, yes, the
sorry.
here.
I'll just tell you, Megan, if you've had Zaxby's, it's like the difference between like
it doesn't matter. It's not
chicken
the
sandwiches
chicken,
and that McDonald's chicken sandwich that McDonald's tried to peddle. It's that much better. Raising Cane's is better for sure.
I've never had Zaxby's, but I'll take Zaxby's because Raising Cane's here in Columbus is horrible. You can't put 40 chicken tenders into one fryer basket, guys, at Columbus Cane's. All right. I'm tired of eating soggy chicken where the skin is literally falling off. It's supposed to be fried chicken. I don't want it wet. I don't want it moist. It's gross. Give me Zaxby's, and I've never even had it.
It doesn't matter. It's all about the Lord's chicken. Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A is not the Lord's chicken.
Listen, Chick-fil-A is the Lord's chicken. Secondly, we started having a lot of problems in the world when Popeye started popping off trying to usurp Chick-fil-A's throne of being the best chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Sleeper chicken sandwich, Wendy's. Look at that spicy chicken.
Yes.
That's a dark horse.
No.
All right, guys, y'all make me hungry.
I'm a Wendy's truther, and I think their chicken nuggets have gone. Just their chicken in general has gone down. Quality.
I mean, I don't eat Wendy's anymore, but when I did, I would take their chicken nuggets over anybody else's outside of Chick-fil-A, of course. But if I had to like compare chicken nuggets to like what is it, like Burger King or McDonald's or anything, give me Wendy's chicken nuggets.
Burger King chicken nuggets are made out of horse ankles.
If I had the ball on the budget,
that is non-binary meat. Like
you said what, Matt?
I said if I had the ball on the budget, I'm going to Wendy's. They have that 5 for $5 or whatever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Or Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box is pretty.
Now listen. As a native Texan, I will gladly fly to Texas and eat Jack in the Box as soon as I get off the plane because you do not have it here in Atlanta, and it is a travesty. We just got a Whataburger.
Let's go.
Just got a Whataburger. A couple months ago in Metro Atlanta. So yeah,
that is the best. That's the best thing. I live in Kansas City, and that's the best thing Patrick Mahomes did for the city of Kansas City. Was bring a Whataburger here. Like that is the best thing.
Really?
Yes, that's the only good thing.
15 minutes. That is fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, so good. I love Whataburgers. Yeah.
Now I'm a fan. Yeah.
All right. I think someone else had a question too. Was there?
Yeah. I think I reached it.
Yeah, go for it.
Outside of Andrew Luck, name one Colts player that you wish would have played a fully healthy career for the Colts.
Bob Sanders.
Ooh.
But yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll go a little more niche, I guess. A little more. Give me Austin Collie, the poor concussion riddled slot receiver.
Yeah, there you go.
Good answer.
He was nice.
Man, we would have had ourselves a good one.
Or
Man.
Anthony Gonzalez was another injury-ridden guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
That's good. That's
I
good.
would have liked. I can read a block Trent Richardson. That would have been fun.
Oh my gosh.
Can we
All right,
not
so this-
talk about him?
This question
having
is
such a
for
good
all of you, and I'm actually going to start with Max. If you weren't a fan of the Titans, what team would you be a fan of?
The Bills.
I have to say the Buffalo Bills because that's who I was a fan of before the Titans. So, yeah,
Okay.
I have to say the Bills.
All right, Josh, who you got?
Yeah, it'd have to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I grew up being a Bucs fan. I believe that there are rules. I don't think you can just pick a team. I'm very, these people out here just, never been to Pittsburgh, but picking the Steelers. I know a couple people. And I'm like, how are you a Steelers fan? They're like, oh, I just like the colors. I'm like, well, you're an idiot. So for me, it'd be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay. All right, Harish, who you got?
Man, you know what? Because we got to stick to where we're at. I should probably be a Cowboys fan, honestly.
Oh.
I'd probably, I mean, the Colts basically outside of a couple of years is a disappointment every year. So why don't we just slap on over to the Cowboys and just continue the tradition, right?
Same color scheme and everything.
Same color
Throw a little
scheme,
silver in there, and you're
color.
ready.
I'm an
Same
average.
type of owner. Like, y'all got it.
Oh my gosh. All right, James, who would you be a fan of?
Josh, so what do you do if you're like me and you're from Nebraska and there are no pro teams there? What are your thoughts on me just as a kid?
Oh, you're a free agent, man. Like
so I'm a free agent? Cool.
Yeah,
so I'm not under fire here. That's awesome. That's cool.
Well, I'm going to make fun of you no matter what you say. But
Yeah, 100%. Cool. That's what we're
here
here for. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Give me the Los Angeles Chargers. Give me some Justin Herbert in my life.
Oh.
Baby blue and yellow. Oh,
I will say I love the Chargers uniforms. The powder blue.
blues.
Yeah, nice.
And I
Okay,
hate
Matt.
that they have Quentin Johnson.
Who?
My hot takes, I don't think he's going to be as good as people think he's going to be, but well, that's another conversation for another day. All right, Matt, who you got?
Well, when the Oilers went to Tennessee, I was a Buccaneers fan, but my dad passed away July 15th, and he was a diehard Cowboys fan. So to kind of live on his legacy, even though it would hurt me badly, I would have to be a Cowboys fan. So.
Dang, we'd have to be friends. That sucks.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Shout out to your dad. Shout out to your dad.
For sure. Shout out to your dad. For sure.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's a transparent moment, and you didn't have to do that, so we appreciate that. I want to acknowledge that. So. All right, who have I missed? Kev.
Oh, mine's easy, and I'll explain it here in a second. But it is the Bears. All right, I was raised as the only Colts fan in a Bears family. My dad's a Bears fan. My brother's a Bears fan. Trust me, listen, there's a plaque behind me of the 1985 Bears. I spent the first 18 years of my life being told every day it was the greatest football team to ever walk the planet Earth. So I get you, all right? I enjoyed the Colts Super Bowl win a little more than most because who did they beat? The Bears. So I had bragging rights in my house for quite some time. But if I didn't have that option, I would probably just jump in with the rest of my family and say, hey, let's all be miserable together and be happy about how many rushing yards Justin Fields has this year. So I'm happy where I'm at. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot. There are worse lives than this one. All right. You Colts fans, we think we've had it. Imagine everything from Pip Rivers on, except that's what you've been dealing with since 1987. All right. Imagine if your best quarterback was Jay Cutler. All right. Everybody, we'll be okay.
Wow, you don't think Rex Grossman? I'm sorry.
All right, Chris. Who is your team that you would be a fan of?
Man, I was gonna say Cowboys because of my grandfather because he passed away, but you know what? I'm gonna go Ravens.
Ravens. Okay.
I'm gonna go Ravens. They are. I'm big fan of defense. I like that whole rivalry they have with the Steelers. I think to me it's the most entertaining rivalry probably in sports, period. So yeah, I'm going Ravens because I hate the Steelers too. So
another excellent uniform, excellent color scheme.
Yes.
I like
and
it.
the logo.
Ravens,
phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. If I had to pick, my inner child says I should probably pick the Cowboys because I'm from Texas. My family gives me grief all the time about not being a Texans fan, but I'm not going to pick either one of those teams. I'm actually going to pick the Packers. I feel like that is like you are born into that. This is die hard. This is, we are in 2-degree weather at the football stadium with our family, cheese heads, all that. You got to watch the Brett Favre, the Aaron Rodgers, that sort of thing, that sort of brand of football. Like, to me, that seems like a culture experience. Also, I'm not built for cold weather. So this is in a fantasy world where I am built for cold weather. Would totally love to do that.
Gotcha.
Totally.
And they're about to go through a mediocrity of quarterback changes too. So you'll be used to that. That's kind of the same thing. Like
I hope that Jordan Love exceeds a little bit of expectations because I'm not quite sure how Packers fans are going to feel if he doesn't. Considering they still had Aaron Rodgers when they drafted Jordan Love and didn't tell Aaron Rodgers, so I feel like that's still a little.
They Brett Favre him,
yeah. I'm going to be mad if they keep getting away with it. I feel like Jesse Pinkman over here. Like, you can't keep getting away with this. Like, come on, it's A-Rod all over again. Come on, they got to get one bad one in the bunch, right? Like,
Oh, imagine if Jordan Love ends up being good for the next 20 years. Jesus.
And then he goes and plays for the Jets as soon as he's like,
guaranteed.
You gotta complete it. You gotta complete
the
trilogy.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises.
All right, so that is the end of the podcast. This was actually a little bit more tamer than the first time around. I'm actually shocked that you guys actually behaved yourself, except for Josh, because Josh was, doing like this the whole podcast, just stirring things up, which I actually like. It's kind of fun to watch all your faces kind of react at the same time, which is great. Which, by the way, Max's face has been like this most of the podcast, which has been hilarious. Max is like, "Yep, I'm just here."
Yeah, he ran out of mayo. He's feeling a little sad. That's why he's flatlined.
Mayo is
he's in a mayo coma.
To go to the grocery store. So.
Mayo mac and cheese. That's what they use.
Mayo mac and cheese. What?
It's mac and mayo over there.
That's actually what they call white lightning in Tennessee.
White lightning.
Not moonshine. It's
right.
mayo mac and cheese.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Oh my god. All right. On that note, we will tell everyone where you can find us. So let's start with Matt. Tell the people where they can find you on the internet.
You can find me at A1 Day One Texans on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Central. Find me on the Texans Fan Battle podcast. And starting Mondays, you can find me on the AFC South Fan Battle, where you see these knuckleheads and we'll argue over dumb stuff like we always do. Oh, fun.
Hey, yo.
So.
Hey, you got it.
All right, James, tell the people where they can find you.
You can catch me over at Bite-SizeSports every Thursday night on the bounce with my co-host. He's somewhere. I don't know where he's at on your guys' screen, but Kev, every Thursday night.
Love it. Love it. All right. Josh, tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Josh Gives Up and on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast with Matt.
Like it. Max, where can people find you?
You can find me at Maximus_Titan_fan pretty much everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Titans Fan Battle Podcast, Monday, 7:30 Central.
Like it. All right, Chris, where can the people find you?
Find me on Twitter at CJ Colts Fan, and on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the Horseshoe Mob Podcast. Also, you can find me making sure that Sam isn't repeatedly saying how much he loves Jalen Ramsey on Twitter.
And on AFC South Fan Battle.
Yes, and shout out to
South
Sam.
Fan Battle Podcast.
Shout out to Sam. She was on the previous episode and she wasn't feeling great tonight, which is how we got Josh. He was stepping in for her as well. But I think we'll have to have another one of these because we'll have to have everybody on.
Yeah, she messaged me beforehand and said that Jalen Ramsey had an appearance at a local mall and she missed it because she was busy.
She told me different. She told me she's still ill over Jalen Ramsey being out for the season. So that's why.
She's really upset. That's
really, oh my gosh.
She missed the show because she's consulting with his doctors to make sure he gets the best possible care.
Exactly. I heard her in the background. She said, "If you don't fix him, there will be heck to pay." And I can't use the expletives, but you know what?
Heck to pay is crazy.
You'll have heck to pay.
All right, Harish, where can people find you?
You can find me on the AFC South Fan Battle podcast with these goofballs. Tuesday with Chris on the Horseshoe Mob podcast. And then if you guys are college fans, you can find me and my co-host Tim Wayne Thursday nights, 8:30 Central on the Texas Longhorns Fan Battle podcast.
Like it. Okay. All right, Kev, where can people find you on the internet?
All right. You can read my words at Last Word on Sports over at Last Word Hoops. You can find me with James talking NBA every Thursday night at 9 on The Bounce, brought to you by Bite-SizeSports. And every once in a while, you'll catch me on the weekends doing play-by-play commentary for Carnage Media because I'm a fight guy now. I talk about fighting. And I commentate fights.
You're so elegant. It gets me every time. You're so much better at this than me.
Dude, I just,
ouch, you're so good
you just fake it till you make it, brother. And then you can find me on Twitter at @KevNevic_ because there's a bunch of other stuff I could update you on, but we've already taken 65 minutes of your time. So thank you so much.
Kev, I definitely missed you. I miss you too.
I'm glad to be back.
It's good to have you. All right. So you can find me at HallAboutSports.com. That is HALL aboutsports.com. All of our social media is there because there's too many for me to go through on here, but HallAboutSports.com is all there. If you want to follow me specifically, I actually changed my Twitter name and my Instagram name just a little bit, just tweaked it just a little bit because apparently, if you didn't know, Megan Hall's a really common name, but there's only one. This Megan Hall that you need to know. So it's Megan L. Hall. Hey, you get Stephen A. This is Megan L. All right. So my Twitter name is it's Megan L. Hall. And then same thing on Instagram. It's Megan L. Hall as well. All right. You can also find my work on coltswire.usatoday.com. Also, if you did not know, I'm covering the Atlanta Dream with WNBA coverage this season, which has been a phenomenal opportunity for me. You can find that coverage there. By the way, I guess I'm dipping into other sports. I just did volleyball this past weekend, which was really cool, by the way, to get to see a lot of Olympians compete in the AVP Gold Series Atlanta Open. So we're just getting started here. So, all right, you have been listening to the Hall About Sports podcast, where the sounds are real, the sports are real, and the stories are real too. We will see you next episode. Peace out.
Bye.
Shout out to Aquaman.
Oh my gosh.